Hi guys, I just wanted to talk about a few things regarding the sort of parent side of dealing with a toddler in Spicer Cast or Traction in hospital where our little girl spent a week, or Broomstick Cast. When you've got a toddler stuck in cast, it can be quite daunting. And when it first sort of gets told, that your child has got hip dysplasia, and everyone's journey can be different on how this is sorted, or how long it's going to take until the sort of treatment's over and they're in the recovery stage. But I just thought it'd be good to talk about the sort of stuff we did. So what I'll discuss is sort of the routines, sleeping activities, things to buy that helped. The stares you get, obviously people do look and stare at you when you're walking down the street with a toddler that's in pretty much a full body cast. Hospital visits and family and friends, and sort of how we got through the longer period of her treatment. So once I'll get back to the beginning, when Darcy got diagnosed with the issue of hip dysplasia, we didn't know the extent of it until the X-rays, which were pretty much she had been walking around for 2 years, and she hit every milestone. The only thing that we noticed is obviously her limp. We kept taking her back to the doctors, sort of got pushed away that there's nothing wrong as such, and then we took her back and eventually was diagnosed with hip dysplasia. So once that actually happened, obviously it's not the best time, and you're thinking of the worst. Obviously there's a lot worse things out there, but at the time this was what mattered to us as such. And how we were going to get through it. Obviously the traction the first week in hospital, so they have their legs strapped up in the air, and that's it for the whole week to try and see if they can manipulate, and the hips can be sort of stretched back into place because everything was there structurally. It was just not in the socket. So they were trying to see if they could sort of stretch her muscles enough to see if they could then take her down for an operation where they could just non-invasive, where they could force the hips back in. But that didn't work. But during the week, it was hard to keep her entertained, as you can imagine. The first night wasn't too bad, if I'm honest. It was as the next couple of days where she just wanted out. So my wife come up with a structure where we had different visitors every day. Family, friends. Obviously, this was all before sort of lockdown happened. This was last year. So she had different family and friends coming in to visit us or visit Darcy throughout the week. So every day was something to look forward to, and that was the hardest bit. Was the hospital had a few little shows they put on for the kids ward. They were great. They broke up the day, but mainly was okay. Who can come in today? Who can visit today? And get a structure instead of everyone coming at once, and then that's it for the week. My wife come up with a routine for everyone, made sure that they were available on certain dates and times, and that they could come and see her. So that helped with that week. Obviously, it's still not fun, but breaking up the time that your toddler's got and you've got stuck in that hospital room, it is the hardest point, and that's the thing to get over. Is it's affecting them as much as you, but they really do adapt quick. Toddlers, she just got on after a couple of days. She didn't know any different, so she just got used to it pretty quick. It was harder for us to watch her, and the pictures and the videos we've got of her asleep with her legs strapped in the air is not nice. But you got to get through it, because we were hoping at the end of that week that could be potentially the end of it, and we'd been a really quick fix. But obviously nothing ever goes to plan, and it didn't work. So the next stage was she had to have an operation on one hip. 6 weeks later, operation on the other hip. 6 weeks later, changed the casts into a different position, and then that was it. And then the rest was sort of Spicer casts at night. So she would use her not Spicer cast at night, sorry, Broomstick sort of cast at night. So she would just strap into it at night, which as time went on wasn't fun either. But throughout the whole thing, we, especially my wife, she was the main one that said we need to get a routine for her. We need to get into a routine where we know roughly what we're doing either each day or each week to break up the monotony of her sitting around, because that's what she's going to be doing. She's a toddler and wants to run around, so she's going to be stuck to wherever we put her pretty much, because she couldn't move. The cast was too heavy for her even to really move in it much, and it come just below her shoulders, the first two casts. So there wasn't a lot she could do. So the routine we come up with and my wife come up with was, you know, it was, structured to the point where she did like learning each day at certain times. She had lunch, breakfast, where she went to her nans and granddads, she went at certain times. So it was getting us into a routine as well as her, that you need to stick to that, otherwise you're going to go crazy and so are they. So there was a lot of learning involved. There was some sort of TV time, because obviously that iPad and TV, you've got to use that to help get through, especially at their age. It's hard not to. People that say they can't watch that, they can't do that, if as long as it's not for too long and it's not all day, then great. You use what you've got available to make it easier for you both. And then so that was sort of like the routine throughout the day, throughout the week. Obviously hospital visits were in between, coming up to things, but day to day the routine was quite set in the plan of the day, unless there was something good coming up. But obviously we were trying to get her to go to nursery, but she couldn't go to nursery as such, so obviously they wouldn't allow it at her nursery to have her there, which is absolutely fine. What could she really do? She'd probably be a hindrance to them, and it'd take another staff to just look after her. But my wife did manage to get stuff from nursery, as in learning stuff, or keep her part of the group, because she was always going to join back into the same group. And they would even let her visit as long as my wife sort of held her on her lap and looked, kept her, because of insurance reasons. They didn't want anything going wrong, so she would sit there with her for a couple of hours, and just to keep her involved and break up the day to day. So that was something that she did. Obviously sleeping was really hard for her at first. She couldn't get comfortable. She would get really hot, because obviously the casts were hot, and the weather in UK was getting hotter as the months went on throughout the summer. And yeah, so keeping that, we had an aircon unit that we rented to keep it cool in the room, and she slept with my wife for pretty much the whole time she was in the cast, even after for a little while she was in Spica Cast, because she wouldn't quite fit in a cot because she was too big, and in her bed we just didn't feel that she'd be safe, because if she rolled out or anything she would really hurt herself. And even though she couldn't really roll, it doesn't take a lot to roll with them, because they're up in the air, their legs are up in the air, so they can put momentum behind, and we just didn't want to risk it. So what we did is we put my wife and her into their bed. We moved the bed against the wall, and we got some pillows. So we got like a V pillow that my wife used for when she was pregnant. We sort of jammed her in as such while keeping her legs up in the air, so we used a load of pillows to make her as comfortable as possible. So we would put like 2 pillows behind her head, 1 pillow behind her back, and then it was 2 or 3 under her feet to keep the cast from rubbing into her back. And so trying to keep her as flat as we could while she was in bed, with her feet sort of manipulated in the air a bit, was the best sort of case scenario for her. The activities, a lot of the activities we did with her were learning stuff, just anything she could do while sitting down. So a lot of drawing, painting, creating, went through hobbycraft pretty much. And when it was different, holiday events or anything we could think of that we could try and get her to make. So even baking, bringing it down to her, mixing. It was anything that could not waste time, but that could take time up and keep her mind active, because obviously she's not burning off any real energy. So you've got to do things that make it better for you both during sort of the days, because they could feel like a long day. And obviously she wasn't sleeping badly, but she wasn't sleeping great because she wasn't burning off energy. So she was staying up pretty late, getting up early, broken sleep in the night, because she just, you couldn't be tired. You could lay there with her on the bed for hours trying to get sleep, and she was quite happy and content, but just wasn't tired. So things that helped, what we brought and downloaded. We downloaded a few games on the iPad for her. You can get CBB games and stuff. A big thing that we used for everything, no matter where we took her, was a beanbag, a really large beanbag. That helped so much, because you could just put her anywhere within the beanbag and she was comfortable, whereas She couldn't sit on seats. She couldn't sit in a high chair. She could fit in the buggy because we had a big buggy that's what we used to move around. But she didn't want to sit in that in the house. So everything pretty much come down to the beanbag, and she was happy on it. It was comfy. It was a big one, so we sort of used it to sort of push her in to make it into a seat. And then we had like a tray with legs. So the tray she could then put on her lap, and the legs would go down to support, so it wasn't just resting on her. And she could use that. We used that for dinner. We would normally sit on the floor with her. We'd all sit around and have dinner down low because you don't want to sit at a table in there. They can't. And we used it for arts and crafts, painting, everything. That tray and that beanbag pretty much got us through a lot of it because she was comfortable and she felt safe on it. And even if we went to people's houses or my wife went to meet with others for lunch, they would take the beanbag with them. It was just a part of, no matter what happened, where she was going, what she was doing, the beanbag was a big part of it, which sounds so simple, but it's something we didn't think of until we were like, well, she can't sit on a seat. She can't go in a high chair. We can't leave her in a buggy. Where can we put her? Apart from laying her on her back on the floor or bed, we need something that she can sit up in and be as normal as possible. Car seat wise, we got our car seat from Maxi Cozy. They have like a happy hip section, so they were really good. We rung them up, we filled out the forms, we sent them a doctor's letter or confirmation of why she needs it, because obviously they don't want to give out car seats all the time if people don't need them, because it's not the most common problem in toddlers. But yeah, what you do is you sort of pay like £120 up front. So what you're doing is renting it a month. So they take £10 off you each month. So they take it off your balance. So you've got a balance with them. And then straight away you send it back. They refund the rest of the money. So I think we got like, I don't know, £40 or £50 back from them. So really good service. You can send it all really easy. They come and deliver it. You tell them when you want it picked up. They come pick it up. It was absolutely amazing. That was through Maxi Cozy. One of the biggest things that I struggled with when it first happened, and I think it's more of a personal thing, was when you're out walking with her, the people staring at you. At first, you're not used to it because and I'm sure most people that have got anything that people stare, people are curious about what's happened. But at first, it was something that you see people staring and you couldn't help but stare back, and it made you angry because you just think, I know what they're thinking, or what are they thinking, because you can see, they discuss it as they walk off and stuff. And the ones that know what's wrong with hip dysplasia, and it is a part of, it's not the best thing that happens to people, but it's not the worst. It's just one of them things that seem to happen to our little girl. It's sort of a short-term problem, so that it made me really aware of people now that live with longer-term problems that people stare at, and it's something that, it must be heartbreaking sometimes. I know you grow stubborn over a while, you don't even think about it, but at first, it isn't. It's not embarrassing. It's just that people are staring, and that there's nothing you can do to stop them staring, and you've just got to sort of deal with it. And after a while, you don't even acknowledge it. You just get on. But at first, we remember talking about how much people stared when we were walking down the street with her, and what they were thinking, and are we bad parents? It must be our fault. But it's part of life sometimes, and you've just got to not take it personally. Hospital visits, they were never good. Obviously, you're going in for surgery with your loved one, with your toddler, and you don't want to take them there. But it's the night before, I think every hospital, operation day, anything coming up, we didn't sleep. Even when she was having her first couple of reviews after she was out, the night before, neither of us slept. We just sort of stay awake. And then when she was in there, I think the first time it was about 4 hours. The next one was about 5 hours. It's the longest time in your life. They feel like they go on forever. But you just got to try again. There's no one can help you with being in that situation. You've just got to try and take your mind off it and know that they're in the best hands possible. And that's the only advice I can give on that. For them, we made it. For her, we just made it as whenever we go to hospital, we get sweets, we get toys, we get everything. So she wasn't nervous, and she probably didn't understand. So we just tried to make it as fun for her as we can, and it's never going to be fun. Even when she goes for her review now, CT scans stuff, and X-rays, she's not a fan of them. She's getting better, but the first ones we had to literally pin her down because it's scary for a toddler. Um, Big thing like that we would say to people, and the questions we get asked about, oh, what do you do? Like, how did you get her out? And just don't isolate yourself, because it couldn't be very lonely for you and them. Get out there, carry on seeing your friends, keep as much routine, keep as much stuff normal as you can, because if you just stay in all the time, you're just gonna go mental with them, and you're not gonna. The days are gonna feel like weeks instead of the other way around, and you're gonna get sort of stuck in a routine that's not pleasant for no one. So you just need to keep with your friends, family. We were quite lucky. We got my wife started, and we got a close family where they, my wife worked in the evening, so her nan would have her for a few hours in between me getting home and her going to work. So that gave us a break as well, and it was good for her to have a break from our house. So she would go up there. They only live not far away, so we could just walk around there with her. But it was a break for everyone, and it was good to still keep her in a routine that she's used to. Um, and it was something else, different games to play, different people to see, different environment. So it broke that up as well. And that's it, really. The whole point of this is it is going to be hard as the parent. But they're going to adapt a lot quicker than you. They literally, our little girl was within after about 3 days of no matter what was going on, no matter the way of the cast, no matter if she was in the hospital, no matter after when she was learning to walk again, which felt like it took forever. You think they're going to come out the cast and just start walking again, because she was walking before she went in, and we thought, maybe a few days, and then no, it was months really till she started to walk properly again, because she come out of car and start walking with a limp again, and straight away we were like, oh my god, it hasn't worked. This is, but apparently it was just her body had just gone to the way it walked before, so she had to learn to walk properly, which is still, a year on, it's still, I wouldn't say she could walk and run as fast as any other toddler. Still, she's still a little bit slow, but she is getting there. She's doing dance and gymnastics, swimming again. She's doing everything a toddler would do, just sometimes a bit slower, because her muscles are not as strong as a toddler that's nearly 4. They are still a little bit weaker. But it's, yeah, I haven't really got much more to say on that. So I just thought, we get questions regarding it, privately on here and Facebook and stuff, and we try and speak with people that have had or got, about to go through this, and we can only ever give the sort of parent advice. But obviously we're not doctors, and we're not trying to say we are, because your experience could be completely different to ours. But from the parent side, it's just you've got to try and keep as much normal going as you can, and just ride with it and not fight it as such. Don't think it's all doom and gloom, because it does. The good thing about Hip Display, the majority of it will come to an end, and cast will come to an end. Most people's cases, obviously, like I said, everyone's different, but ours, we knew there was end dates, and we were just trying to look towards them and how to blur the in between. Once we knew that last surgery was over, it was like, okay, now we can start looking forward again. And you're going to hit bumps in the road. It's not going to be perfect. And, we still now panic sometimes when she does stuff, because we're trying to protect her from possibly hurting herself again, even though it was something she was born with. So I just want to say thanks for listening. If you have any questions on like specifics that, either your toddler's going through it or about to go through it, or just anything regarding anything we spoke about here, just leave me a comment below, or message, a private message, whatever you feel, and we'll do our best to help. And more than anything, it's just raising awareness to this to everyone, because it is, I'm part of groups, and this is a common problem that could sometimes be helped if they just had an X-ray at birth, or better checks at birth, because our little girl was checked all the way up until finally diagnosed with it, and it got missed every time because we've got in the UK you have a red book, and we've got the red book that that says everything's fine until finally, yeah, it's completely not fine. So yeah, thanks for your time, and hopefully speak again soon.